All right, so the Xbox Developer Direct for January 2024 just wrapped up. I know a lot of people were looking forward to this, myself included, because I wanted to see what Xbox had planned for us, at least what they were willing to talk about with 2024. We got some very interesting looks at some games, and I'm just going to talk about it here. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I am the king of Xbox. We have this cringy opening. I understand, like, these developer directs are a little bit different than what you get with like a state of play or a Nintendo direct. There's a lot more people talking throughout these events and explaining everything you're seeing. Each game got about 10 or so minutes to showcase things off, but I don't know. I am the person who kind of just prefers trailers until we got to the end of this. Our first game was from Obsidian, and it is, of course, Avowed. Now, Avowed is a game that, we haven't seen too much from it. We kind of know about its existence, but beyond that, we don't really know all that much stuff about what's happening with it. I will say the combat looks pretty well done in this game. You can mix and match spell casting to melee combat, so you could do like a whole bunch of different combat styles at one time, and you could customize different layouts in order to basically change how you are playing. So if you have like a melee setup with like a shield and like an axe or something, but you want to quickly switch over to like a magic setup that has like a wand or something like that, you can actually do that on the fly instead of having to go into like a bunch of different menus in order to change that sort of stuff up. I actually really like that about this game because it seems like it's going to be a lot, more fluid than some of Obsidian's other games that we have gotten, and really just other games in this genre. It definitely has a bit of that Fallout style to it. Of course, Obsidian is known for Fallout New Vegas. It definitely has a weird world atmosphere. They're kind of going into this game wanting to make something that has a weird world attached to it. There's, of course, dialogue trees in the game, and the way that the dialogue plays out, you get some basically different options in order to choose different things, which will then affect things in other parts of the game. So basically, your actions have consequences. However you decide to engage a situation will impact the game's stories. Honestly, I think this game looks pretty cool. I really like the setting of the game, and I thought the combat and the different styles that you could just mix and match was really cool. I will say, though, the enemy types, at least the ones that they showed in this, wasn't really sold on them. They kind of reminded me of Slee Stacks from the Land of the Lost reboot in the early 90s, which was a show that I definitely loved, and I still love that show. When you open the door, by dinosaur, living in the Land of the Lost. Like, that show was awesome, but I don't know if I want a bunch of Slee Stacks running around the world of Avowed, but I'm definitely very interested in this game. This was definitely a game that I think looks really good and has a lot of potential. We do have a release window for this game of fall of 2024, so far so good. We're starting things off with a very positive note, and like I said, these are more deep dives than you normally see on things like a Nintendo Direct or a PlayStation Showcase, so it's just kind of like the pacing of it. I just personally have to get used to it, basically. Next up, we had, of course, Hellblade 2, and I mean, what can you say? What can you say about Hellblade 2? Like, I think we're all excited for this game, and we're all, looking forward to it. But honestly, I'm just kind of tired of seeing it. Like, I'm already sold on it. They did say that they've redone the combat, and it's all new combat for the sequel, and that's super cool. But, like, the game looks great. I'm a huge fan of the original game, so I want this game like pronto. You've shown me this game for a long time now. I get it. It's going to be epic. It's going to play into Senua and the voices and all this sort of stuff. The audio design is, of course, a very important part. I'm just ready to play this game. We did get a release date, though, of May 21st. So once again, Hellblade 2 is another W. It's just, I've seen it so many times. It's like, bro, I'm already sold on this. Like, you've done your job. Next up, we had a surprise entry. This wasn't announced in the original announcing of this event. Square Enix shows up with Visions of Mana. Now, pretty interesting to see Square Enix here, considering they're somewhat I guess I would say, unique relationship with Xbox. But hey, you know, Visions of Mana, it looks freaking awesome. The combat looks absolutely fantastic and very, very smooth. I'm definitely digging the different environments you have, the different enemy types you come across, some big, some small, some wide, some tall. There's a whole new traversal system that's being introduced in the game. It's got like this big weird dog Anubis hybrid thing. Like, I don't know, it's supposed to be like a cutesy design, so I could kind of see it with that. But I'm definitely very impressed every time I see this game, even though this is like the second time I've seen it. I am a fan of action RPG games. That's kind of what I've gravitated towards in my older age, and not so much the, you know, the turn-based stuff, which is what I used to love when I was younger, and I didn't really like action RPGs. But I think this game looks really good. Summer of 2024 as well, so not a huge wait for this game. And of course, Square Enix doing stuff with Xbox, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. Arura History Untold was up next. And bro, I don't care about this. I don't care about this genre. I don't care about any of this. And like, I understand that people like games like Civilization and stuff like that. That's awesome. I'm glad you do. But Arura History Untold, it did nothing for me. You build a civilization, you make it thrive, you fight against people, you control people. You know, basic emperor style stuff. I definitely tuned out during this segment of the game, and there was way too much stuff happening. But fans of the genre may be interested in this because it does look pretty epic. It seems like there's a lot of bells and whistles tied to it. Arura History Untold, fall of 2024. And at this point, because how long the Arura History Untold segment felt, I was like, okay, I understand what my beef is with this. It's the pacing. But then the next game, the final game that we got, just showed to me that it's just down to my personal preference, because it was Indiana freaking Jones time, and they could have talked about this game for an hour, and I would have been glued. It felt like it went by in 2 seconds, the amount of stuff that they showed in this. The game has a name, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The game has a time frame, taking place between the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. It's only taking inspiration from the first 3 films, so that's a good thing. Harrison Ford's looking studly in this movie. That's a good thing. But damn it, it's first person. What did I say? I said I wanted third person Indiana Jones. It's first person. It's ruined. I'm just kidding. I think they still did a freaking phenomenal looking job with this game. It is a first person game, may take some adjusting on my end, but I definitely think it looks awesome. There's tons of action. There's unique puzzle solving. Some are mandatory, some aren't mandatory. There's huge set pieces, of course, big epic stuff. There's whip combat. You got your whip. You could whip it. You could use it for traversal. You could use it to make noise. You could take it to like hit someone with it, or drag them up by the feet and throw them to the ground. There's melee combat. Your knuckles get bloody as you're punching someone, just like in real life. There's gun combat in the game. There's stealth elements. You could do multiple ways to choose how to go throughout a level and throughout a scenario. There's different like set pieces and stuff. There's like jungles and deserts and ice area. You know, it's the Super Mario set pieces. But there is some third person in this game, because in cutscenes and environmental traversal, like if you're climbing up like a ladder or something like that, it'll actually switch to a third person perspective. And really, the more I thought about it, like my whole reasoning for wanting this to be a third person game was because of platforming, because I feel like platforming is done better in third person than it is done in first person. But it doesn't seem like there's going to be like a whole hell of a lot of platforming as like a main thing within the game. So I think they can get away with this first person perspective. You also have a sidekick named Gina, who's like an investigative reporter who has similar interests as you, and she joins you on your adventure. Bro, this looks so freaking good. This looks amazing. And like the more they talked about it, the more I wanted this game. I'm not even the biggest Indiana Jones fan in the world. Like I like the first 3 movies. I haven't watched them in a very long time, but I definitely like those 3 movies. The 4th one was okay. I think there's a 5th one. I didn't watch it. But like the fourth one was okay. Like there's just something about this game that really resonates with me, and maybe it's just like nostalgia talking. But this looks awesome. The graphics look awesome. The facial animations look awesome. The set pieces look awesome. And a 2024 release, boys. Game Pass day one, 2024. But you know they're gonna do some crazy collector's edition with this game because of course they are. They gotta milk you a little bit, and I'll probably buy it because it's freaking Indiana Jones. So overall, this was a good show. Like the pacing, okay, the pacing I'm not a huge fan of, and you know it really boils down to what game they're talking about as far as my interest in the pacing. I still would have preferred a little less chitter chatter and you know, and explaining every single thing, but I get it. You know, they are trying to show the people that work on the games and give them props, so I could respect it in that aspect. But I mean, Hellblade 2, Avowed, Indiana Jones, and then Arura History Untold, that's pretty good for Xbox. You know, and that's just stuff we know about. So I'm actually looking forward to Xbox this year. Like, I'm pretty excited. Like, I'm playing Avowed on day one. I'm playing Hellblade 2 on day one. I'm sure as shit playing Indiana Jones on day one. Trials of Mana looks pretty good as well. You know, the Civilization game, not really my cup of tea, but very good show. Very, very good show. I was pleasantly surprised with it, although I was initially annoyed at the pacing of it. The Indiana Jones thing, it made it all click for me. It's like, you care about the games you care about. You don't necessarily care about the games you don't care about. So I get it, man. I get it. But, you know, things are looking decent for Xbox right now. Things are definitely looking pretty decent. So let me know in the comment section down below. Did you watch this presentation? Lasted about 45 minutes or so, which, you know, a little bit long for 5 games, but man, that Indiana Jones, baby. Give me that Indiana Jones. And as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.